Hey, I want to do a quick video here about some lessons I've learned about supercharging in cold weather. And really it's any charging, but really specifically this is more supercharging. One thing I want to mention first of all is if you're planning to be driving in weather that's below freezing, here's what you want to do. Number one thing you want to do is, especially if you're driving somewhere that's more of a destination, long distance trip, right before you arrive at where you're going to stop, I recommend that you supercharge right before you stop or as close as you can. And when I say supercharge, I mean fill your battery up all the way. That's the number one tip I can give you. If you're on a trip, right before you arrive at your destination, the closest supercharger, just go ahead and supercharge at that location. Get this thing as full as you possibly can. Of course, don't let it get all the way full and sit there, but that's what you want to do, because if you're going to be below freezing, when I say below freezing, I mean below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, you're going to run the problems. The first thing is you're going to run into issues with range loss. You can see here, expect to use on average 40% more power during the winter, about 10 miles of real range loss for every 10-degree drop. If the roads aren't dry, expect to lose another 25% more range. So you're going to have major problems with range loss, first of all. But you can compensate for all this by supercharging right before you get to your destination and get as full as possible. Now, if you can't do that, here's plan B. Plan B is when you wake up in the morning and it's like 20 degrees or whatever it might be where you are, you got to start by preheating your car with the app. Okay? I think this article here talks about preheating the car. Let's see. But basically, the idea is that your battery is below freezing. If your battery is below freezing, it will not charge. And when it starts to creep up above freezing, it's going to charge at a very slow rate, even when connected to a supercharger. And I experienced that recently. So what you want to do is, not only for comfort and convenience, but for your battery warming up, turn on your app. Don't go to the car and turn your climate control on. Turn on from your app, because when you turn on from your app, it activates both the battery heater and the cabin heater, and that's what you want. It consumes a lot of power when you do this, but it'll enable you to quickly drive over to a supercharger and start supercharging. And if you're on a trip, that's most important. Okay? So keep that in mind. If you screwed up and you didn't fill it up all the way before you went to bed, when you arrive at your destination, when you wake up and it's 20 degrees outside, start preheating your car several times in a row using your app. It cycles on for about 10 minutes and it turns off, so cycle it through a couple times. Also, your windshield should be clean at that point. Everything should be melted off your car if it snowed overnight. And worst case scenario, if you don't do any of that and you're still about to drive to a supercharger, drive quickly. Accelerate hard, okay? Because hard acceleration will warm that battery up as fast as possible. One thing you will notice, though, is if it's below freezing and you're driving and your battery's below freezing, which typically happens, you won't have any regenerative braking. So just be sure that you are aware of that when you're driving, and it doesn't startle you when you run into the back of somebody, okay? Because whenever your battery's not going to charge because your battery's below freezing, it's not going to allow regenerative braking to take place in your car. So that's really it. There's only a few quick tips, and that's all you need to know about supercharging in below freezing temperatures. So, of course, you won't be able to regular charge either if you can't supercharge. So either way, this is more for supercharging, but you're not going to be able to regular charge if your battery's below freezing. So if you have any other tips, let me know. Give me some comments below. Let me know your experiences with this. But if you haven't driven in the cold weather and below freezing, definitely just take my advice, and I think you'll benefit from it, as opposed to me, who almost got in a bad situation. It delayed my trip a little bit, but thankfully it wasn't all bad, but hopefully that won't happen to you. Thanks for watching.